Broadcasting from Tokyo, Japan, a slow media project. Bold, reality grounded, unexpected perspectives, global affairs with context, culture with bite. No clickbait.
It's a dinner party.
For your brain, the Fushigi Times Podcast with Angelino Schintu.
Welcome. This is the very first Fushigi Times Podcast, the audio edition of my long-form journalism on fushigitimes.com. On this episode, we start with one word, Fushigi, a Japanese word you can't quite translate, but it shapes everything about the way we tell stories. In a world hooked on speed and hot takes, we're escaping the flick scroll and slowing the news right down. From Tokyo, it's bold, curiosity-driven stories that hopefully make you stop, think, and see things a little differently. This episode of the Fushigi Times Podcast is brought to you by, and I could be mentioning your organization's name right here. Keep listening to find out how our promotional partnership packages work. Welcome to A Global Voice from Japan, the Fushigi Instinct, a slow media project from Tokyo, offering bold, reality-grounded perspectives on global affairs, cultural explorations, and creative thought. What's in a name? When Fushigi Labs launched this publication, we weren't looking for a name that explained itself. We weren't looking for clarity, efficiency, or keyword optimization. In fact, we leaned into the opposite. We chose mystery, or rather, we chose Fushigi. We chose a word that resists tidy translation, because we believe ideas worth exploring often resist it too. Fushigi is a Japanese word that slips through translation. It can mean mysterious, uncanny, wondrous, but even those feel like approximations. Fushigi is a feeling, the sense that something doesn't quite fit into what you know. It makes you lean forward, squint slightly, ask questions. That lean, that's curiosity. And that's what this publication is built on. Fushigi captures the spark that flickers in a child's eyes the first time they see snowfall, or the pause you take when a phrase in a foreign language says something better than your own. It is a sense of standing at the threshold of insight where logic alone cannot explain the feeling. And crucially, it's not about arriving at the destination, the end of the journey. It's about continuing to look when you think you might have. We weren't chasing cleverness. We were chasing resonance. Fushigi is not about answers. It's about paying attention. It's the instinct that pulls you off the main road into the alley, that pause before the plot makes sense, the little hum in the air when something doesn't compute. That, for us, is the real signal. That's where stories start. And for many of us, that sense of wonder, once dismissed as naive, is now our compass. Why slow media, and why now? Let's face it, media isn't exactly having a golden age. There's more content than ever, but somehow less substance, more noise, less resonance. We live in a time that rewards certainty, instant opinions, hot takes, dopamine-driven flick scrolls. Everything is fast, reactive, and constantly re-optimizing for your attention. But beneath all that motion is a deeper hunger, a desire to slow down, reflect, feel something beyond the headline. That's where slow media comes in. Not just slow for the sake of being slow, but slow as a form of resistance, intentional, careful, human. We're not anti-technology, we're anti-hyper. The slow media movement is about restoring dignity to the pace of thought. It's not nostalgic, but it is skeptical. Skeptical of constant optimization, of informal sugar highs, of storytelling stripped of soul.
Hi, we hope you're enjoying the podcast. If your organization shares our values, slow media, long-form journalism, global context, we'd love to work with you. This is where your branding could be, right here in the middle of the Fushigi Times podcast, just like in the written edition, heard and seen by a global audience that values independent thinking and cultural depth. Be part of the Fushigi. Email editor@fushigitimes.com and let's start a conversation.
No clickbait. Culture with bite. The Fushigi Times Podcast.
In recent years, more readers have grown tired of the churn. Content fatigue is real, and it's measurable. Attention spans are collapsing under the weight of speed. Academic studies and user data alike point to rising anxiety, lowered comprehension, and burnout from constant feeds. We believe the antidote isn't silence, it's depth. At the Fushigi Times, we believe the slow read is the real read, the one that makes you underline a sentence or pause to breathe before you continue. The kind you return to days later and still find meaning in. Speed is for machines. Meaning takes time. This is why our format privileges thought over trend. We're not reactive, we're reflective. Whether it's a meditation on the symbolism of post-war design or a dispatch from a city in flux, the focus remains the same, telling stories that allow for breathing space. The Fushigi approach. We write about global affairs, culture, and creative thought, not to tell you what to think, but to explore what's possible. Some of our stories are grounded in international reporting. Others lean into philosophy, aesthetics, or the occasional historical rabbit hole. What ties it all together is tone. Bold but nuanced, witty but serious, sarcastic when needed, but never cynical. Think FT Weekend or The Atlantic with a touch of C.S. Lewis, curious, profound, and full of wonder. And yes, there will be footnotes, possibly even parentheticals, definitely curious maps. Our editorial choices are global in scope, but rooted in Tokyo, a city that feels like a living contradiction, where seasonal shrines exist 2 blocks from an AI-powered capsule hotel. That paradox? We live with it, question it, and reimagine it daily. It isn't just the backdrop, it's the tension that shapes how we see and what we say. And the other side of that coin, we regularly escape the Tokyo city lights heading to the country sea rhythm of the Pacific coast in Chiba, where everything slows down into a kind of blue zone lifestyle many crave but rarely touch. Unhurried, embodied, quietly radiant. We believe that journalism should provoke thought, not just emotion. Curiosity matters more than the grip of clickbaity nonsense. Our contributors come from backgrounds in journalism, filmmaking, architecture, fashion, and the arts. We believe the most compelling stories emerge where disciplines intersect. A piece on Iran's 1979 revolution, imagined as a Back to the Future-style alternate 1985, might reference French cinema of the 1960s. An essay on AI might begin with a haiku. Whether we're covering the geopolitics of rare earth metals in Africa or Central Asia, or the sociology of Kyoto cafe culture, we aim for the same goal, to tell stories that stretch your thinking without snapping your patience.
Hi, we hope you're enjoying the podcast. If your organization shares our values, slow media, long-form journalism, global context, we'd love to work with you. This is where your branding could be, right here in the middle of the Fushigi Times podcast. Just like in the written edition, heard and seen by a global audience that values independent thinking and cultural depth. Be part of the Fushigi. Email editor@fushigitimes.com and let's start a conversation.
Unexpected Perspectives, a slow media project. The Fushigi Times Podcast.
Curiosity as method. Most media today confuses curiosity with consumption. Click, skim, swipe, repeat. We think real curiosity is slower, more durable. It's the thing that makes you linger on a sentence, reread a paragraph, forward something to a friend with a, huh. Curiosity is not a data point, it's a mindset. The world isn't suffering from lack of information. It's drowning in it. What's scarce is context, thoughtfulness, sincerity, the ability to say, we're not sure yet, but here's why we're asking. Curiosity, in our view, is a muscle, one that atrophies under the weight of algorithmic certainty. So we're here to exercise it, with wonder, with humor, with just the right amount of intellectual mischief. A good question is worth more than a rushed answer. We believe in cultivating the kind of attentiveness that goes beyond headlines. Reading, or listening, here is not passive. It's an act of co-creation between writer and reader or listener, insight and openness. The best kind of curiosity is the kind that loops back, that builds, that sustains. This isn't media as performance. This is media as process. We don't chase certainty. We sit with complexity. Reality grounded, not reality doomed. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the state of the world. Climate crisis, data dystopias, culture wars that feel more like content strategies. But the Fushigi Times doesn't exist to add to your despair. We're grounded in reality, but reality isn't always grim. It's also absurd, beautiful, tragic, and filled with moments of wonder. Our job is to surface that wonder with integrity. We traffic in perspective, not panic. We're interested in the edges, in what doesn't get covered because it's not trending. The stories hiding in plain sight. The why behind the what. We think these overlooked moments are where the world often reveals itself. We may examine global shifts in power, but we'll also pay attention to street-level humanity, how people mourn, eat, invent, adapt. We'll cover macroeconomics and micro-joys in the same breath. We don't flatten, we expand. Yes, we'll cover serious issues, but we'll also explore the everyday marvels of life, the rituals of overlooked communities, the buried meanings in architecture, the sociology of vending machines. If it makes you pause and go, wait, what? It's probably Fushigi material. Our invitation. If you feel the pull of that kind of curiosity, the kind that doesn't flinch from complexity or contradiction, then you're in the right place. We're not here to explain the world, we're here to dwell in its richness. This publication, this podcast, is reader and listener supported. If you value what we're building, a slower, more intentional and deeply curious kind of media, consider subscribing. Free or paid, all are welcome. Think of us less as a newsletter or everyday podcast and more as a quiet revelation, the kind that suddenly opens up into something exhilarating, like stumbling into an unexpected dinner party for your brain. So pour yourself something, scroll slowly, read fully, listen intently, and if you feel that Fushigi instinct, that subtle lean towards the unknown, follow it. Welcome to the Fushigi Times. This original content is part of our slow media canon, carefully crafted, independently produced, and free forever. But slow media needs slow money. If this content resonated, support the Fushigi Times by subscribing, free or paid, but paid helps produce more of this essential journalism, and every bit helps keep the editor, that's me, caffeinated and busy crafting more Fushigi.
The Fushigi Times Podcast, an original slow media production. From the studios of Fushigi Labs, Tokyo.
Created by Angelino Schintu.
Want to rebroadcast this content? Broadcast. Or talk collaboration? Email editor@fushigitimes.com.